A lot of first time buyers get this part backwards. They get excited about the idea of finding an undiscovered gem. It's off market, reaching out directly to business owners, skipping brokers, and landing a deal where there's no competition. In theory, that sounds great. In reality, it's the fastest way to spend 6, 12, 18 months reviewing deals and closing nothing. If you're buying your first business, the smartest way to start is on market. And I'm going to explain this clearly and simply why this is. Hi, I'm John Stoddard from DealFlowSystem.net. I've helped first-time buyers find, fund, and close their first acquisition. 33 million in deals closed, 50 million raised, deals across services, logistics, e-commerce, contractor businesses, and more. If you're working full-time or just want to buy your first business without wasting years on bad deals, you should watch this video. All right, let's break this down. Lesson number 1, the real goal in the first 90 days. In your first 90 days, your real goal isn't to find the perfect business. Let me explain that. Your goal is to build pattern recognition. Pattern recognition is the ability to look at a business and immediately know, is the revenue stable or lumpy? Are the margins normal for this industry? Is the owner doing real operational work or just oversight? Are there expenses being run through the business that distort cash flow? Is a lot of debt on the business? And most importantly, does the business have enough real earnings to support SBA debt and your take home? These are skills. You do not develop these skills by analyzing one deal slowly over a whole bunch of months. You build them by analyzing dozens of deals quickly. On market is designed to help you do that. All right, lesson number 2. On market deals let you learn fast. When a business is listed on market, the seller is already decided to sell. The broker has already gathered the financial report cards, documents, and the asking price is usually tied to revenue and SDE. And there's usually some level of operational, financial, and narrative transparency. This allows you to analyze deals at volume. And early on, volume matters more than creativity. You need to be able to look at a deal and say, this is a business I'd never buy. This is a business I'd buy at the right price. This business is interesting. Let's dig in further. That type of clarity comes from reps, and on market gives you those reps quickly. All right, lesson number 3. Off market requires skills you don't have yet. Let's take a look at off market, the inverse. Off market is not about finding businesses. It's about finding business owners ready to let go. Those are not the same thing. A lot of off-market outreach hits owners who aren't mentally ready to sell, don't know what their business is worth, haven't cleaned their books up in years, and haven't even thought about what happens after they leave. So you end up spending weeks or months just getting to the starting line. That's not your problem on day 1. On day 1, your problem is learning to evaluate businesses. So yes, you should absolutely start off-market relationships early, but don't expect fruit the day after you plant the seeds. Business transitions run on timing, trust, and personal readiness, not your urgency to buy. All right, lesson number 4, the buyer skill stack. Buying a business requires a stack of skills, not just one. And here are the core skills. Sourcing, right? Without deal flow, nothing else matters. Generating deal flow. Screening, quickly passing on bad deals. Valuation, understanding price versus terms. And financial review, reading the financial report cards of a business. And risk assessment, understanding where things break. And financing, structuring debt, equity, and seller notes. And negotiation, and specifically exit-driven negotiation psychology, Why are they selling? What are their sticking points? On day one, you don't need all of these things at once. What you need is screening, valuation, and financial review. Those skills are learned fastest with on-market deals because the data is already prepared for you. All right, lesson number 5. What actually slows buyers down? Most buyers don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they waste time. And here's where time gets lost: chasing owners who aren't really sellers and trying to convince someone to sell, trying to build financials from scattered QuickBooks, files, bank statements, and guesswork, and getting stuck in emotional decision-making where the seller hasn't accepted the transition yet. When you start off market, those friction points happen early and often and usually kill the deal. When you start on market, you bypass that friction long enough to build skills. And once you have those skills, you can return to off market and now win. All right, lesson number 6. Why some buyers close and others don't. Buyers who close learn to move quickly, learn to disqualify fast, learn to identify fundable deals, and learn to communicate with lenders and investors, and learn to structure terms that actually close. And now, buyers who don't close, they study too long, they analyze too slowly, they chase fantasy valuations, and they get stuck negotiating with owners who weren't selling to begin with. On-market forces efficiency and clarity. Off-market requires patience and timing. That sequence matters. All right, lesson number 7, the phased approach. Here's the model that works. Like, take phase 1, on-market learning phase, that's 0 to 90 days. You're going to review 3 to 5 deals per day, reading financials, understand SDE adjustments, talking to brokers, and learn the conversation flow. Phase 2, relationship planting, weeks 4 to 12. You start building off-market outreach list. You can use simple, friendly, relationship-driven messages. No persuasion, no pressure, just consistency. And phase 3, transition to off-market when skills are ready, like 90 days plus. Your eye for good deals will improve. You'll instantly recognize inflated valuations, and you'll know what good deals look like. At that point, off-market becomes a strategic advantage, not a guessing game. All right, lesson number 8, the big idea. So, on-market teaches the game, off-market wins the game, but only after you understand the rules. All right, lesson number 9, practical checklist you can use today. So daily, look at 3 to 5 on-market listings. Read that P&L, identify the owner's true workload, identify one risk, and then move on. And then weekly, reach out to 25, 50 business owners. Just plant seeds. LinkedIn, Search Funder, local, or doing mail list or email list. Just plant seeds. And then track these conversations and keep it human, simple. And then monthly, review that acquisition profile, tighten your industry focus, tighten geography, and tighten your deal size. Progress comes from iteration, not intensity. All right, lesson number 10, the final message. So start simple, start structured, start on market. Build your skill base quickly, build confidence, build clarity. Then, when the timing lines up, you'll recognize the right business instantly, and you'll be ready to close. All right, so if you want help tightening your acquisition criteria, build your deal flow, reviewing deals, or structuring financing, that is exactly what I teach at Deal Flow System. And the weekly pass or pursue sessions. I'm John Stoddard. I'll see you on the next one.